We're back, lanes 21 and 22. The King Classic, sponsored by Scott Pontiac Cadillac GMC. Right now we're looking at Chris Kovacek and Rick Steiner. Chris and Rick are going to be our first match today. Rick has elected to let Chris start on lane 21. Good looking crowd here today. A lot of bowlers. And we have Mr. Bill Pankhurst in the crowd.
With his pocketbook for $300.
Chris Kovacek crosses 20, comes back very nicely. Starts us off with a bang and a strike. Chris bowling out of Sportsman lanes, averages about $191. Has had a 763 series and a 296 game when he was 16. Now we're going to get our first look at Rick Steiner. You recognize this power player from a couple weeks back. A little bit of conflicting styles here. We got a cranker and we got a stroker. We'll let them figure out which one we're talking about.
Which one's which?
As we said, we got a good-looking crowd.
Mr. Pankhurst right there.
Bill Pankhurst, Pankhurst Fruit Farms, sponsoring a 300 game.
Bill will smile. Bill will smile. There we go.
$300 going to anyone shooting a perfect game on TV. Graciously put up by that man there. Now we're going to see Rick Steiner do something we don't watch Rick do very often. Miss a spare. He's going to shrug that off and transition over to lane 21. A lot of power players in the crowd today. John Smith Sr., southpaw cranker from Tiffin, Ohio. Really torques the ball up. Now back to lane 21. Rick Steiner, bowling out of Fremont, Ohio. Playing up about 12. A little bit of draw on the end. Needs to move outside. He's playing a little too deep in the oil. I forgot to introduce my sidekick, my father, Herb Thibodeau, owner proprietor of Seneca Lanes right here in Fostoria, Ohio. 24 of the nicest lanes you'll find in the continental USA. And yes, I did get paid to say that.
Is that contiguous?
Contiguous?
Today?
Contiguous. Absolutely.
He's shooting for it that time.
He's got it that time, no problem.
All right.
And we'll take our second look at Mr. Kovacek. When asked what the best part of his game was, he'd have to say his first ball and his release. He's got a very powerful release. Watch the wrist rotation on this. Right around the side of the ball. Good fingers. Didn't send that one out quite as far as he'd like to have. And leaves himself a 7 count. A 3-6-10. Some excellent scores in qualifying today. A 279 by our top seed, Rob Gardner. A couple 268s. Just a great condition out there today. And Chris Kovacek going for the 3-6-10 without any problem.
And he's enjoying a nice 12-pin lead, Mike. Also, want to remind you, we have the Chamber of Commerce team tournament coming up the 22nd of January. Put a plug in there for the chamber.
Fostoria Chamber of Commerce sponsoring a first annual tournament here at Seneca Lanes. Crossing 20 out to 10. Comes back.
Nice ball.
And that's where you get the pin action. Let's take another look at that. You want to talk about spectacular pin action. That's how you get the pin action, folks. He crosses 20, sends it out to 10, sits, comes ripping back, head pin to the wall, carries out the 10. Just a great, great, powerful ball. This young man, the first time on the show, hard to believe. I'm sure it will not be the last.
Let's see where Rick gets started here.
Rick Steiner, lane 22.
Inside too deep again.
Oh, boy.
Paid dearly for that one.
That one was sitting on an angle, and came back and stood back up.
He seems to be having trouble tugging on the ball, Mike. You know, way deep that time, right around 15. I don't think he wants to be quite that deep. At least not on this condition.
No. 479 is the split. Needs to be to the left-hand side of the 4-pin. Kick it over thin to the 9. And he's going to go for it. And he's going to come very close to getting it.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
Right now, Rick Steiner needs to move just a bit to the outside. Play up to some dry boards. Get good loft on the ball. And start putting some strikes on the board. Coming up a little bit later on the lanes with Coca-Cola. Always Coca-Cola. Let's see if Rick Steiner makes the adjustment. Gets good loft on it, up about 12.
There we go.
And that's the Rick Steiner everyone here knows and loves.
Much better ball, Mike.
Yes, he laid that one down about 3-4 feet out in the lane. Got good loft on it. Got the ball into a nice roll. Cut through the oil. And an X is the result. Now we're to 22 with Chris Kovacek. Gets that one out a little bit more. Doesn't put a whole lot on it. Leaves himself the 1-2, 4-10.
A little bit of a washout there, huh?
Yes, you'll see those quite often with guys that, when they do miss the hole, they're gonna wash out. But when they hit the hole, it's beautiful. Pins everywhere, as we saw in the previous frame. Great messengers. But this is the bad part of that game. Plays it off the gutter beautifully.
Looks like he's going to shoot a Dutch 200 the way he's going at it.
20, 40, 60 in the third. And he moves to lane 21. Chris Kovacek, bowling from Sportsman Lanes.
This has been a strike lane so far, Mike. Let's see if he keeps it in there.
Cross about 23.
Ooh.
Didn't get it quite across like he wanted to. You'll notice that the power players like that, the guys that stay deep inside, always seem to have a little better luck on the odd lane, only for the simple fact that there's no ball return there. Nothing that they're contending with. They've got 80 boards over there. Do whatever they want with. Chris Kovacek, 3-6. He does have a beautiful release. I'll give him that much.
Now, Mr. Steiner is going to have to go to work if he wants to keep this ball game alive.
Rick Steiner, one of the heavy hitters in the bowling scene in Northwest Ohio. Having a bit of a time getting started. Strike on 21. Let's see what he does on 22. Plays that one up 12. Juices it pretty good.
There we go.
Gets the good carry.
That'll cut some of that lead out. He was down 26 pins. Now he's down 16.
Cuts it about half.
Yes, sir. That'll help.
Both bowlers today, in fact, all bowlers today, using Contour power grips. One of the softest grips in the bowling industry today. Ask for them at your local pro shop. Contour power grips. Rick Steiner, going to be up about 13. Get a little flip on the end,
Ooh.
and you get the 10 pin. Just didn't get the flip that he needed.
Well, he's cut the lead down to 15. That's not too bad. That'll help a little bit.
We're halfway through the game, and we're on lane 21 with Rick Steiner looking at a 10 pin.
Rick was king 2 weeks ago, wasn't he?
Yes, sir, he was. Got knocked down.
Came right back up again.
And then qualified again, and here he is. Qualified with a fine 689 Wednesday night. Going to see another familiar face here very shortly, Brian Reinhardt.
Well, Mike, you only have 9 more days shopping.
9 more shopping
9 more
days.
shopping days. Christmas.
A lot of power on that ball. Lane 22, Chris Kovacek rips some racks. Pins flying everywhere. Heads over to his favorite of the two, lane 21.
Berry Electronics. Where's Berry Electronics at?
Berry Electronics is in Findlay, Ohio.
Findlay.
Manager Chris Kovacek. Also likes to DJ on the side. Loves to dabble in car audio. Lays it across 20. Out
Looks
to
good.
12. Little tight.
Looks
4-9
good.
the last to fall. But it's an X. Maybe later on we'll get a chance to look at Chris Kovacek's socks. Has on some Mickey Mouse socks today, bringing him in a little luck. Girlfriend Amber in the crowd. We now go to lane 22. Rick Steiner juicing it up about 10. Didn't get a whole lot on it. Leaves himself the 258.
And he just lost another 10 pins on that, Mike. Looks like about a 25-pin lead for Chris. And Rick's going to do something awful fast. I'm running out of room here.
Yes, we are. 7th frame, first match, King Classic TB47, sponsored by Scott, Pontiac Cadillac GMC. Little distraction down the lane brings Mr. Steiner back.
That'll throw you off your stride a little bit.
Yes, it will.
Because now you wonder if he's going to come back again.
Rick Steiner going for the 258.
And
No
puts it
problem.
away. Very good.
No problem with the spares from this heavy hitter. Rick Steiner making the transition to lane 21.
Suffering about a 27, 28 pin deficit right now, Mike, and
Go.
he's running out of room.
Going into the 8th frame, 20 pins behind.
3 more frames. He's got to pick up 10 pins per frame. Could be tough.
Yeah, he's got to go off the sheet right here. This man can do it. Don't count him out. Rick Steiner right where he needs to be, up 10. Good flip on the back end,
nice,
carries the
pretty
10 pin
ball.
out. Right where he needs to be, right up 11. Faded out to 10. Bring it right back.
That was a beautiful ball.
Girlfriend Amber. Chris Kovacek. Wearing some funny socks. He's got her made. What more could you ask for? Chris Kovacek up about 17, fades it out, comes back and was looking at a 7-10. Carries out the 7 pin, leaves himself the 10 pin. Chris Kovacek, lane 22, going for the 10 pin. Using the full approach. 5-step delivery. Red hot ball going at the 10 pin. Takes all the break off it.
27 pins with 2 frames to go, Mike. We're running out of room.
Mr. Steiner is definitely running out of room. Needs to get something started right now.
The next 2 frames could put him back on top. But he's got to get going.
Chris Kovacek crossing right about 18, out a little bit. Didn't have a whole lot on that one.
Looked like he might have been waving that one
Yeah,
goodbye.
he was waving goodbye. He set that one free. Opens the door a bit for Mr. Steiner.
Yeah, it's a bad fill. If Frick doubles up here, he could be within 4 pins of Chris.
Chris Kovacek going at the 1-2-8.
Uh-oh.
And an open. I do believe the first open for
I
Chris
believe that's
today.
the first open, and I believe, Mike, that could be the open door, too. This looks like it's going to go all the way to the 10th.
Yes, sir. No cutting this game short. Rick Steiner, lane 22, needs this strike. Rick Steiner's going to be playing it up 11.
He went out like he wanted to. Oh, that 10 pin.
He just got, he got tapped. He just got tapped. Bigger than life.
I shot it a whole weekend of those last weekend, Mike. I think I own that pin.
Makes it long. Makes the game long.
Went to bed dreaming of 10 pins floating around.
Makes you wonder what to do. Rick Steiner, red hot. Going at the 10 pin. Good speed on the ball. All bowlers today throwing the code red.
It looks
by Track
bad.
Incorporated.
Looks bad for Rick. He can go off the sheet with a $190. Chris has just got a spare for 192. So this is a crucial ball, Mike. He has to have this one just to keep in the ball game.
10th frame, Rick Steiner, lane 21, needs this one to stay alive. He's going to play this one right where he needs to be, up 10. Good fade, flip on the back.
Ball.
That's where he needs to be on 22.
Pretty ball. He's bringing the match home to Chris.
First one in the 10th by Mr. Steiner. Needs this one again. Needs to be in around 10.
He's out there where he wants to be.
Got to get up.
Never came back enough.
Rick Steiner needs to pick this up to have any amount of life left in him.
It's gone. It's all over, Mike. All Chris has got to do is stay this side of the foul line. He's got this match. This is all over. Needed this one. Needed that one real bad.
Chris Kovacek. Only needs 7 pins to tie. 8 pins to tie, excuse me. Down and in. Looks like that's going to be good enough. Chris Kovacek, the winner of our first match, and we'll be back right after this message.
Number 2,
Brian
both
Reinhardt.
bowlers, Chris Kovacek and
Lane
Brian
21
Reinhardt,
sends
each
that
got
one
off
out
to
a
slow
little wide.
starts. Let's pick it up in the 6th frame. This is lane
Leaving a
21,
little wide.
Brian Reinhardt, a former King.
These boys are having trouble getting started, Mike. Just can't seem to get revved up here.
Brian Reinhardt going for the 1-2 4-10, needs to fade it across. Oh, and he almost catches it. And we go to lane 22 with Mr. Chris Kovacek, bowling out of Sportsman Lanes in Findlay, Ohio. And now we go to Mr. Herb Thibodeau with the score.
It looks like everybody wants to give this game back and forth, Mike. It's 54-56 in the 4th. About tied up in the 5th. Let's see what happens here.
That looks like a powerful strike to me.
Well, that
And
looks
a
like a double.
for Mr. Kovacek, which is going to put the game at
About 10 pins to his advantage now. 20 actually. About 20 pins to his advantage.
this young man, Chris Kovacek, 20 pins to the plus over Brian Reinhardt.
Don't seem to have the back ends today. It's probably what the problem is here with the boys.
Oh,
Nice
there's
break.
a tight one.
Nice break.
That was a tight ball. Carries out the 9-pin. And we have a turkey for Mr. Kovacek.
And a 30-pin lead.
Brian
Brian's gonna have to
Reinhardt
move it. There
Playing
we
the
go.
outside line. out where he needs to be. Brings it in. And moves to lane 21. Brian Reinhardt with his slot finger grip. And rather than having 2 holes, he has 1 slot for both fingers. Lays that one inside a little bit, catches some oil, skids by. Leaves the 2, 4, 5. And goes for the 2, 4, 5, and
Oh,
chops
my
it off the
goodness.
5 pin.
A bad day.
Now to lane 22 with Mr. Kovacek with 3 in a row. I'm sure Mr. Reinhardt's probably a little tired out.
Yes, he
10
is.
games
Gotta
today,
be.
4
Gotta be.
qualifying for the King Classic, 6 games for the Invitational. That's a lot of bowling.
And there's a 10 pin.
I guess the only good thing about that is Brian throws a lot of strikes, so then he has to throw 1 a frame.
Thank goodness, otherwise it could be a tired boy there. This bear will probably put this game away, Mike. Uh-oh.
And he
He's
yanks
not
on
doing
it just a bit.
Not doing it.
Gives Brian Reinhardt the open door. Puts us at about a 32 pin
32
game.
pins with 2 frames to go.
That was actually pretty quick arithmetic for myself, I might add. Bob Cundiff giving me the high 5.
He said, I don't believe I heard that.
Can't believe he added that quick. Chris Kovacek crosses 20, gets it out, brings it back, loves lane 21. Brian Reinhardt needing this one very badly. Plays it up 9 or 10 where he needs to be.
All right.
Gets
there
the
we
good
go.
pin action.
Now, Mike, I'll tell you what happens to happen here. Brian has to have them all. And if Chris comes up with about a 7 or 8 pin fill, that's the only chance that Brian has. Otherwise than that, it's Chris's ball game.
Well, Brian Reinhardt needs to make a move on lane 21. Shift himself out to around 9 board. He's just catching that oil. Plays that one in about 11, catches a little bit of oil, and leaves himself
It's,
a 10 pin.
Goodbye. That's
And
it.
unfortunately, he's going to be going home with a 3rd place finish. Pardon me, 4th place finish. And we're going to be looking at Mr. Kovacek coming up next.
One more game.
Chris Kovacek taking on Rob Gardner in match number 3 of the King Classic. We'll be back after this.
What do great trucks have in common? This GMC Medallion, the symbol of more than 90 years of truck manufacturing tradition and innovation. Exemplified in the 1995 GMC Sonoma. Equipped the way you want it at a price you won't believe. Only $10,395 includes driver's side airbag, rear anti-lock brakes, AM/FM stereo, rear step bumper, plus more than 3 generations worth of research and refinements. Drive the strength of experience at your Great Lakes GMC truck dealer now.
How many things have you known to last for 43 years? Kaminsky & Son Jewelers, and they're still going strong with 30% off nearly everything in the store. Diamond rings, pendants, earrings, Seiko and Pulsar watches, and stone set rings. 50% off 14-karat gold chains, and much more. Kaminsky & Son Jewelers don't discount on quality, they discount on prices. Maybe that's why for 43 years, no one else has even come close. Kaminsky & Son Jewelers.
Match number 3, lanes 21 and 22. Seneca Lanes, Fostoria, Ohio is the King Classic. TV 47 out of Findlay, Ohio. King Classic brought to you by Scott Pontiac Cadillac GMC out of Fostoria. And we're looking at Chris Kovacek, lane 21. The big cranker sends it out, brings it back, no problem. And we're going to get our first look today our third look this year at Rob Gardner, bowling out of BG. This is Rob's third show. He is 0 for 2 thus far. And Rob was on our very first show this year in the very first match against Paul Hernandez. And thus far has averaged 199 on our show and leaves himself a 2-8. And those are the stats.
Got there around 12 board that time, Mike.
Sound like you caught a little finger hole or thumb hole.
Hit 12 going out, and it looked like the ball was bouncing over the thumb hole.
Born in Rossford, Ohio, and bowls at Almar Lanes. And has a heck of a follow through. Rob Gardner, lane 22, brings a spare. Now will move himself to lane 21.
This is the first white shirt today, isn't it? All the other ones been black shirts.
Could very well be.
Add a little color to the show.
Yeah. A very colorful young man.
This show is brought to you in black and white.
A student and a bowler.
Curdy ball. Curdy ball.
Throws a lot of ball, this guy.
This is going to be a cranker's delight, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Both these boys like to come from the left to the right and back again.
And the winner of this match is going against the stroker, Charlie Nicholson. The king for this... Whoa, what a ball. The king for this show. Chris Kovacek. Perfect after 2. Possibly going after that Pankhurst Fruit Farm. $300 check for a
Fruit
perfect
farm
game.
money. Apple money. You heard of egg money, Mike. This is apple money.
This is Apple money. Bill Pankhurst, a gracious sponsor of the King Classic, promising $300 to a perfect game on TV. That was about 25. Needs to get out there a little more,
And
and
it
it
did.
does. Good pin action.
They must have gone back and read a few more chapters on how to bowl during the break. Looks a lot better.
Yes, great follow through. Nice wrist. There's a lot of
And
power.
A good response.
And he answers back with a strike. Rob Gardner, out of Bowling Green, lives in Rossford, bowls in Bowling Green, bowls in the Almar Sentinel Classic, is part of the BGSU bowling team. We asked him why he bowled, and he said, "My family has always been a bowling family." Nothing wrong with that. Oh. And he gets tapped with a 10-pin. Rob Gardner, lane 21. Third match of the day.